The majority of the companies nowadays are in some stage of digital transformation. Some of these are very tactical, improving the website or app maybe, automating basic finance functions or customer interactions. Others are fundamentally changing how the business operates. Business model innovation and digital transformation are two buzzwords, and they are increasingly interlinked. How should you and I think about business model changes as we all become more digital? Digital transformation projects often start at the companies who were disrupted by digital native businesses. These disruptors build customer-centric operations. They interact with their customers only online and on mobile, provide better customer experience, and tend to scale revenues much faster than a traditional business. When a traditional business sets out for such digital transformation, I see two dominant approaches: digital at the edges or digital at the core. So what does that mean? Let's look at the first one, digital at the edges. Well, the edges of the enterprise are customer and supplier relationships, how you interact with customers and suppliers, and how they experience working with you. This is definitely the most impactful area for digital transformation. And I'll tell you why. Companies that set out to digitize their customer and supplier relationships do the ultimate value creation. They drive revenue up and costs down. Why? Remember, the primary purpose of any digital transformation has to be one of two things: increase the customer's willingness to pay and the supplier's willingness to sell or charge less. Drive revenues up and costs down. The customer will spend more if the digital interaction is better than traditional ones. Easier purchase options, better customer experience, faster delivery, visibility in the supply chain, and digital options for the products all increase willingness to pay. The same way, digital experience can increase the supplier's willingness to sell or charge less. Digital purchasing portals can significantly reduce cost of sales for suppliers and often mean higher sales volumes, both of which increase their profitability and they can share that with customers, a win-win. So automation, customer and supplier analytics, commerce, and purchasing portals all improve the digital business model at the edges and drive revenues higher and cost lower. I had a separate video specifically on the massive shift in digital experience, both on the supplier and the customer side. Check it out. So digital transformation at the edges works. The playbooks are relatively straightforward, and both the customers and the suppliers are familiar with it. If you are not digital at the edges, you are way behind, not just the digital natives, but most of your industry. Most companies get this and keep expanding digital tools in these areas. Now let's look at the second way of digital transformation, digital at the core. This is where I believe digital native companies actually have a bigger advantage. They typically built up their core business functions like finance, HR, product development, sales operations with digital tools as well. Disruptors start with an agile mindset, consider back office processes with the necessary minimum to connect suppliers, operations, and the customers. This is the area where bigger questions are needed. What should be the minimal set of processes to operate the business? What is the absolute minimum to get what the customers need from the suppliers through operations and product delivery? In a business model shift, you should question everything, especially in the core, that gets in the way of converting supplier resources into products and delivery to customers. Traditional businesses that are bulky tend to be bulky at the core and lean at the edges. They have the most resources, cost, and complexity in core operations. Digital natives tend to be the opposite. Core processes are relatively lean and simple, and most of the resources, sophistication, complexity is at the edges, interacting with customers, providing marketing and fulfillment. Ask yourself how many people in your company never speak to customers, never touch the product, or never get involved in delivering a service. If the majority of the resources are here at the core, your business will fail. Often the core processes at traditional businesses are complex with multiple systems, significant manual processing of data. The digital speed at the edges gets slowed down in the middle. After years of digital transformation at the edges, you look digital, but your core is still analog. Overall, the business will have higher cost, slow cycle time from end to end, and will not be able to fulfill customer expectations. Businesses have to digitize at the edges and at the core in parallel. So how do you lean out the core and put your investment at the edges and into your products? A great way to look at the necessary business model changes in digital transformation projects is by using the familiar business model canvas. It is a simple tool used by thousands of businesses to understand, design, and simplify their business operations. There are many videos on the tool itself. You can check them out. When you use the business model canvas for digital transformation, you ask some simple questions in every segment of the model. How can I reduce costs here? Or improve the willingness to buy or sell from the participants? Let's take some examples. In your customer segments, what can you do to increase willingness to buy? In the partnerships, how can you help them reduce their cost of sales? What can you do in your digital interactions to reduce their operating costs? Let's look at resources. How can you improve the employee experience with remote work, online collaboration, digital employee services? This would allow you to attract better talent, especially in this highly competitive labor market. The same way you would look at internal processes, you probably need to look at all the basics back offices. How could you use the digital tools to massively reduce the cost or someone's willingness to buy or sell in your finance operation, in HR, and the other functions? And that's all there is to business model innovation at a practical level. Companies often get caught up in business diagrams and process charts and enterprise architectures, completely reinventing everything about the business on paper. Now, research shows that incremental innovation, asking these smaller questions across multiple areas, is a better strategy than order of magnitude innovation, only in one area. As a Harvard Business Review article put it, swinging for the fences rarely produces results. The rest of the organization tends to become a bottleneck somewhere. So I wish you great success exploring the digital transformation at the edges and at the core, asking better questions, and finding those cost and revenue growth opportunities in many incremental changes. Talk soon.